What's going on, people? My name is Tyreek, and I am the Black Trekker. This is my initial video. I have made a lot of errors in trying to make this initial video come to fruition. Firstly, by trying to put it in the front of my car, and then having it oriented where it had the wide view. Yeah, that didn't work. And now, the adhesive that's on my sticking device is not as strong as it was, so unfortunately my camera now is turning a bit. Everything is all jacked up right now. But what do you expect from the first initial video? Anyway, the reason why I'm making this video is because I am a fan of Star Trek. It has been my favorite series ever since I was a kid, and I'm really optimistic about what humanity can be over the long term. But I also do have issues that are in Star Trek that I would like to discuss with other like-minded Trekkies. And I'm giving you from the perspective, well, my perspective. So my first initial video will be about Captain Sisko. Captain Sisko is my favorite Star Trek character. And the reason why Captain Sisko is my favorite Star Trek character is because Captain Sisko is a family man. Captain Sisko was written very well. He had the progression from being Commander Sisko to Captain Sisko. And that right there was one of the best things that they ever did with the Trek universe. Instead of having someone just started directly from the position of captain, they had the progression to captain. Kind of like what they should have did with Will Riker in The Next Generation, but they didn't. But the thing is this. I'm going to list the reasons why I like Captain Sisko. And what I would like is for the viewing audience, you guys, to give me some reasons as well why you like him, or reasons why you may not like him. So that we, as a collective, the Star Trek fandom, can come together and we can really appreciate this character, because I think it's necessary for people to appreciate the characters that we grew up with. I grew up with Captain Sisko. I grew up with his type of leadership, the way he conducted himself around others. So I'm naturally pro Captain Sisko all day. Uh-oh. Anyway, I am slightly adjusting my camera a bit to make it stay in place, But anyway, Captain Sisko is a family man. And it's shown in the very first episode. Captain Sisko is with his son Jake. And they're in the holodeck. And he's affectionate to his son. And in today's day and age, especially in my culture, it's perceived that men are not taking care of their families, black men. And that's inaccurate. We do. And he does. And I know that a lot of men we have, as my Hispanic friends would say, canalismo, machismo. We're tough guys. But you don't got to be tough when you have a son and you love him. And that's exactly what Sisko does. He shows affection to his son. He gives him the principles of becoming a man. But he also lets him know that it's cool and it's okay to be affectionate with your kid. And I think sometimes in reality we forget that. I think that we want our sons to be so strong and so tough, but in actuality, it's good just to be a kid, And then there's also depicted throughout the series of how Benjamin Sisko is treated by his father. His father treats him the exact same way that he treats his son. And that's great. And one thing I like about the writers is the writers as a whole, what they did is that they showed that with the other characters and their sons, like Rom and his son. Showed it right there, being supportive, affectionate. Miles O'Brien and Keiko and their child, they did that. Lightly, not as much. They did it more on Star Trek Next Generation, but they did it also. But Benjamin Sisko was the real first attempt to show a loving, empathetic, compassionate father that was in a command level position. And that right there was a prominent and welcome sight. Another thing I liked about Sisko was he was level-headed. You know, he enjoyed the position of being a commander and then the progression of becoming a captain. You saw the change. The change was when he was a commander, he had a full head of hair. And then when he became captain, he got to cut the hair off. He trimmed his mustache and his beard up and have a nice goatee. And he was, you know, he was smooth and debonair. And that's one of the reasons why I really did appreciate Captain Sisko, because he had that progression. He was a class act. And then also, the man wrestled. Somebody after my own heart, because I took wrestling. So he wrestled. And then also, he liked to cook. That's another thing. He's from the South. He's a Southern gentleman. So, you know, well, I don't know if they consider themselves to be the South anymore in the 24th century, but nonetheless, he was from the South and he knew how to cook. He came from a long line of cooks, you know, and I could appreciate that. I wish, though, in the series they would have showed him cooking more, because I could have picked up on some recipes and whatnot. But yeah, I know they got not holodecks, they got replicators, but nonetheless, they got it. And so with that being said, it was really a good progression to see his development. What else did I like about Captain Sisko? I found Captain Sisko to be really personable. And he really relied on his friends, especially Jadzia Dax. He really went to her. And I know he called her the old man because, I mean, she was a Trill, and the Trill lived for hundreds of years. So the Trill that was inside of her was definitely hundreds of years older than he was. So naturally, you could say that he is technically an old man. But I did like the relationship. I really did. I enjoyed it. And how he treated his friends. He was loyal, but also when he became a captain, he was still loyal. He was still loyal. He was still supportive. He was still involved in their lives. You know, and he took in characteristics that are necessary for leadership. He took in being honorable. We learned that from Worf and TNG. Being a person of integrity. We learned that from Picard. Being a person that has values. We learned that from him. Being family oriented. We learned that from him. Being a person that is knowledgeable in his given field. We learned that from him and other representatives of Star Trek. And he incorporated that on a consistent basis. And then also, he was able to show acceptance, not tolerance, but acceptance of someone else's spirituality, someone else's religious beliefs. He was able to do that with the introduction of him being the emissary. At first, he was a little skittish on it. He wasn't really 100% believing that he was actually the emissary of the prophets. But after a while, especially with the Bajorans, he realized that he had an important role and he had to be able to absorb that role in conjunction with him being a father. And that's another reason why Sisko is the man. I mean, in other YouTube channels, they've already acknowledged this. YouTube channels that are bigger and more well-produced than mine. And I will tell you this without any kind of doubt. Sisko is, and this is not my term, somebody else said this, is the pimp hand down captain of Starfleet. I mean, for real. And then also, he's the only person that I've seen in Starfleet that intimidated Commander Worf. The only one. Okay, now some could say that Captain Picard intimidated Worf. Nah, it's more like kind of like a father figure type of thing. Worf respected and trusted Picard. But intimidated? Nah. Sisko, he was the man. Because he ain't take no BS. And he was not intimidated by the fact that Worf was bigger and yada, yada, yada. Nah. He had that command presence. And only a few people in Star Trek history, period, have had that type of presence. He did Captain Jellicoe. It was another one that I really appreciated his writing, that he was a very good captain. He was a little bit of a hard person to deal with, but nonetheless, he was a military man. And then also another thing I liked about Captain Sisko was he had the desire to take on the Borg. All of these Federation captains with all of these years of experience, and then you got this commander out of nowhere. They had Commander Shelby, but this commander out of nowhere that was like, hey, let's design a ship that can fight the Borg and take them on literally. Now, the Defiant wasn't designed solely to be attacking the Borg by itself, because you got to remember, a Borg is 3,000 meters in diameter from top to bottom, all the way around, squared. So, with that being said, yeah, you really can't. A ship that's 130 meters in diameter and length can't really go against a ship that big. No way. So with that being said, it was kind of designed to be like in a wolf pack type of scenario, like 8 or 10 ships. But what I will say is this. He was the right man for the job. Now, one thing that I'm going to do in my YouTube channel that is different from other YouTubers is that I'm going to ask you questions to test your knowledge, to see what you know about Star Trek, because I'm a big fan of Star Trek. Now, I'm not so much of a big fan that I watch like read the books and everything like that. I'm not going to say I do that. But on screen, canon, canonical stuff related to Star Trek, I'm the man for that. And I'm going to definitely ask you some questions. You saw that jerk just now. The adhesive was about to drop. And if it would have dropped, then, well, you would have just saw my camera, well, rather my phone, hit the ground. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to give you these questions. So my first question is this. And please, let's have a little bit of authenticity with our responses. I know that we could Google it and whatnot, but if you don't know it, you don't know it. And it's okay if you don't know it. But, nonetheless, I would like to, get your 2 cents and your answers. And also constructive criticism if you have it. So my first question is this. And this is about Captain Sisko, because this is my first video about on my channel. What was Captain Sisko's signature dish that he made? What was his signature dish? Because he also made it for his wife, Cassidy Yates, which I was always interested in why she didn't take on Cassidy Sisko. I was always wondering why she didn't ever do that. But yes, what was his signature dish that he made for Cassidy Yates? And he also made the signature dish when he was in the alternate universe as well. And he also made the signature dish when he was back home before he went to the planet called Tyree. Yeah, I was hoping it was going to say Tyreek, but it was Tyree. And in my next video, I'll give you the answers if you guys don't know. And then another question is this. It's also a Sisko question. Is what was the name of the Vulcan captain that Sisko had beef with, that he didn't like particularly? What was the name of the Vulcan captain that Sisko did not like? Now, I will tell you the name of the episode was The Niners, and it was a baseball. But what was the name of that Vulcan captain? Because he was, Vulcans are arrogant, and, they really think that they don't have to explain themselves and over the top. So with that being said, what was the name of that captain? And lastly, I would just like to say thank you very much for taking time out your day to watch my first initial video on YouTube. It's it's a process, but I will be coming up with more video. Like, share, and subscribe. I had to practice on that. Like, share, and subscribe. Press that bell icon for me. And as time progresses, the channel will grow, and all of your feedback is greatly appreciated. Anyway, thanks for checking out the Black Trekker, and live long and prosper.